Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is September 25th, and right now we're looking at the infrared satellite imagery. Check out this beast of a storm spinning out over the Pacific Northwest coastal waters. Probably a 960 millibar low, very low pressure center out there, and just a gorgeous representation on the infrared satellite. You've got associated atmospheric river. This is going to be spreading some cold air over the region. Got a thunderstorm chance as well, some gusty winds, heavy precipitation. We've even got a little bit of a tornado threat here over the next couple of days, and then we have secondary system development out here that's going to round the base of this trough and throw itself into the west coast, potentially bringing a strong pressure gradient to the coastal areas and even some of the interior areas as well. We're going to dive into those details here in a moment. Looking at SeaTac yesterday, 64 degrees, 0.6 of an inch of rain. We're going to go above that normal precipitation for September, and we've got a couple more rounds of rainfall incoming. This is if you want a nice affordable home weather station to record all this crazy weather we get here in the Pacific Northwest. Click on that link down below to save 10% off. And you can see yesterday it recorded rain for 586 minutes. A nice rainy day here across much of the region, and it's already been raining much of the day today. 1/3 of an inch here and about 7/10 of an inch here at my house yesterday also. So very fun watching that station when things get stormy. Dangerous surf conditions. This goes all the way up the BC coastline, all the way down Washington, Oregon, California. This storm is spinning up huge waves, so do not turn your back on the ocean. Seems like every year somebody gets in trouble out there and gets swept off into the sea. So heads up for that today and tomorrow. Boise, Idaho, places off into southeast Oregon and western Idaho are dealing with some fire conditions as well, some gusty winds and low relative humidities. These atmospheric rivers do not always bring their moisture east of the mountains, as you can see, and we're showing it here in the Storm Prediction Center where the critical areas are, and it does include Boise and southeast Oregon. Now, taking a look here, this is that little low pressure center. But first, let's look at that deep low here, associated atmospheric river. You can see it spinning here as we go into tomorrow morning. Then that system starts to develop during the day tomorrow. Interesting solution here is this low pressure system barrels right into the Washington coast. Strong pressure gradient on the south side of that low would bring some fairly intense winds into the Puget Sound, northern Puget Sound also. And it depends on where this low sets up, this little bowling ball, this little buzzsaw with the tight pressure gradient on the south side. More on that here in a moment. This would be the wind of that second system here. You could see it bringing some very strong winds, and check out the winds across the Puget Sound would also pick up here as well. And if this storm tracks a little bit further south, it's really going to open up some of Portland and some of the Oregon coast to bigger gusts as you go through the early morning hours on Wednesday. Now, let's take a look at the waves here as well. We talked about this a few moments ago, and you can see the big waves that this is going to spread towards the coastline here as we go through the day and into tomorrow morning, also all the way down into California, all the way up into southeast Alaska, even some big waves with that system. So don't turn your back off the ocean if you're out there wave watching, and watch this. So you can see this initial system here as we go through the day today and on in through Tuesday, and not too bad for the interior, like for Seattle and Portland. But watch the secondary system as it rolls into western Washington on the European. It shows 45 miles per hour here for SeaTac. That would be problematic. These early season storms with all these leaves on the trees, and if trees are in weakened state, that can really bring down some branches and even some weakened trees, and you can get some actually pretty decent amount of power outages here with that kind of wind. 45 miles per hour would be no joke here coming through some of the central Puget Sound, and you can kind of see the bent back occlusion of that system as it approaches the Washington coastline there. Early morning Wednesday. This is looking at Seattle, Tacoma here on the European, and you can see a lot of these ensemble runs that show gusts up into the 40 mile per hour range. So it's definitely something worth watching. Going to be going through this in extreme detail tomorrow and try to get some model agreement. Still showing a little bit of model disagreement on where this low is going to make landfall. Astoria, you can see gusts up over 40. And again, if this thing tracks further south, it's going to hammer the Oregon coast also. And look at Quilly. You can see kind of the random nature of these gusts showing up here. Some of these over 50, one over 60 miles per hour here, and some much less, depending on where this low tracks. And you can see the storm ongoing as we speak right now on the Washington coast. So taking a look at the NAM3 cam, closer look at things here. You can see the big low out there. It doesn't really capture the center, a little bit further off to the northwest of what this map is showing. But here as we go on into Tuesday afternoon, there goes the system developing and pushes into the Washington coast. Look at that 990 millibar low, and then you're looking at the 1012 line there. That's 22 millibars. That's a pretty good pressure gradient being cast across the Washington, northwest Oregon coast. And you can see it coming to the Puget Sound here as well. You're looking at 11 millibars just here from Port Angeles down towards maybe just south of Olympia here. So pretty strong winds could be rolling through the Puget Sound here early morning Wednesday. That would cause some power outages most likely. And then you can see that one kick off to the northeast. This is 80-meter wind speed. Here goes the storm, ongoing gusty winds along the coast. And there's probably some kind of lee low effect actually going on across some of the northwest portion of the Puget Sound also. But now we turn our eyes to the next system rolling in here, and you can clearly see it as we start to go off into Tuesday afternoon. Look at that little buzzsaw developing, throwing some strong winds. I mean, it could target places like Westport, Ocean Shores, all the way down towards Cape Disappointment, Northwest Oregon. Again, you can see a strong frontal system rolling on shore with that as well, and then bringing it across the Puget Sound. Look at some of these winds across the Puget Sound. That would cause power outages this early in the year for sure. This is looking at the UW model. You can see the very deep low pressure center off the coastline there. We'll put that into motion, and there's that secondary development. But look where it puts it, right into the Oregon coast with a weaker low. But if this thing comes in any deeper, they tend to move further north as they come in deeper. And so we have to really watch this system closely. This would also bring a pretty strong gradient across the Oregon coast and into the Willamette Valley. Now we've also got thunderstorm potential here, and look at the surface-based cape as we go through the day today. Things destabilize quite nicely. We start to spread some of that colder air aloft over the region here, and then as we go into Tuesday afternoon, again we destabilize things, so you can't rule out a thunderstorm. Then that secondary system here could even bring an additional round here on the south side of it, a thunderstorm activity late Tuesday night into Wednesday morning as well, and then destabilizing that cold air aloft moves across the region on the day Wednesday. Now looking at the composite reflectivity on the NAM3KM, you can see the rain spread up over the region today. Some of these stronger showers start to roll through the afternoon. And keep your eyes on the sky, because some of these could be rotating as well once you get towards these more discrete little storms as they move on shore here this afternoon. Even a brief tornado waterspout threat cannot be ruled out. Now we go into Tuesday, and you can again see some of these showers could be robust as we go through the afternoon Tuesday. Then comes this system. Look at that thing curling up off the coastline, spreading that precipitation up over the region here. I mean, nice classic little low just barreling right into the Washington coast. That would look quite crazy on the satellite imagery as well if that does verify. This is looking at lightning flash density potential, and as we scroll through the next few days, the HRRR is on board with the thunderstorm potential as we go through Monday, Tuesday afternoon. Then you can kind of see on the HRRR that low pressure center pretty well placed right on the Washington coastline there also. And look at the temperatures out here, the ocean temperatures. This actually helps add some fuel to some of these storms, especially across the coastal areas, and it can even bring water spouts in here when you got this warm ocean water. Now, looking at some soundings, I've been pulling these the last few days. That's a pure tornado sounding here. Pretty unstable profile. Goes up, 25,000+ feet in the atmosphere. You get a little bit of turning here with some strong winds, and you could get some rotating segments out there. You can get some small hail, some lightning, and maybe even a brief tornado. I mean, you're going to go bankrupt if you're trying to predict tornadoes here in the Pacific Northwest. But it's interesting that the soundings have been showing that the last couple days. Now, looking at the European last night, you can clearly see the deep trough here. This is looking at 18,000 feet. There goes that system burrowing its way into western Washington as we go through early morning Wednesday. Then trough settles down over the region. Then we might start to build some ridging off into early October here. No promises on that just yet. It's a deep upper level low will be spinning over some of the Intermountain West and down towards California. Now, just showing you guys the cross-section of atmospheric river. I showed this yesterday. This is about 10,000 feet here. So these are fairly low lying. So that when they run into the huge mountain ranges here, they don't bring much precipitation to the eastern portions. So you can kind of see why, if you're looking out across the Pacific Ocean, you'd be looking right down the core of this atmospheric river here. So just kind of an interesting cross-section there. And Seattle-Tacoma, we've been really bringing up the rainfall here. So it looks like the GFS actually did a little bit better with this initial portion of the system here, and calling for over an inch here for Seattle during a 24-hour period, and then additional precipitation there. This is the European, kind of bumped it up, especially for the secondary system moving through Wednesday morning. Check it out. Some of these ensemble members are up over an inch and a half here, in the control even at 1.9. So interesting stuff. The mean is over an inch there. Brookings, Oregon, down to the Oregon coastline here, no exception. Heavy rain incoming as we speak. Vancouver Island, what a storm, just all the way up and down the west coast. Newport, Oregon here, big winds potentially coming through Wednesday morning as well. You can't sleep on that with a strong frontal system associated with that low pressure center rolling across the area. Tillamook could get some big winds as well, so heads up anywhere up and down the Washington, Oregon coast. Now, taking a look at the national blend of models, let's just go ahead and make sure we've got the most recent one shown here, and we'll put that one so we can see today. But you can see the temperatures, we're going to be seasonably cool here over the next few days and maybe start to bounce back here through the early portion of October, but no promises there. It's at that point of year where our heat waves are pretty much a distant memory across Pacific Northwest. By the time you get to mid-October, for example, you generally put a complete end to the potential for 80-degree days at SeaTac. 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. We're not going to read too much into that right now, but the 6 to 10 day temperature outlook for below average conditions, this upper level low is going to move down across some of the Intermountain West. And good stuff there. But we can take one more look here at the European ensemble mean actually here too as well. This is the upper level trough. There's that secondary system rolling through. Trough settles down across the west coast, and we get some ridging trying to build in here. Maybe we'll get a couple nice days out of this in early October after all. And let's go ahead and compare the drought monitor again. I've been showing this the last few days. We did introduce some extreme drought into Oregon, some of Washington here as well. So hopefully we can make quick work of this drought with all this precip we're going to get here, and we've already gotten in over the next couple days as well. But yeah, no, you didn't dream it. We were very dry here across western Washington and Oregon from in the last 3 months, June 26th to September 23rd shown there. And we were warmer than normal here this summer here across much of the Pacific Northwest, exceptionally so actually. I shouldn't say exceptionally, but quite a bit above average, 2 to 4 degrees. But yeah, anyway, one more last look here at the infrared satellite imagery. Probably going out to the coast today, the chase. I may do a live stream as I'm out there. We'll see how that goes. But otherwise, yeah, we got stuff to look forward to tomorrow. That windstorm rolling in here could be no joke, especially early season stuff with trees, lots of leaves on them. Any trees in weakened states will be coming down. I mean, 27 mile per hour gust, and it brought down a couple big trees in the park here next to my house. So interesting stuff. We'll be watching that tomorrow. Hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow morning at the latest.